Good afternoon, everyone. This is Paula Carey from Living Out Loud, Texas. And today's topic is how to make peace with discomfort, also known as getting past your knee-jerk reactions and your coping mechanisms to actually go towards problem resolution and facing your fears without running away and avoiding them. So let's start with the things we tend to do when we are faced with problems and fears. We have what's called a trigger. And when that trigger gets pulled, it leads to a knee-jerk reaction. That is typically how we handle things. So that knee-jerk reaction can take on all kinds of wonderful things, right? You can lash out at the person who triggered you, or you could lash out at an unsuspecting victim right after. You might have a knee-jerk reaction of saying something you wish you could take back and can't do that now. So there's a reaction, and then you go right into your coping mechanism, the thing that you feel terrible about, you want to avoid it, you don't want to deal with it. So what do? You go right into your coping mechanisms, which can also be a knee-jerk reaction. You might find yourself reaching for a drink, the bag of potato chips, the ice cream. You might find yourself on your phone like you're doing right now. The phone is an amazing coping mechanism. When you don't want to think about something or be bothered with it, you can just scroll through Instagram and Facebook and watch videos like mine. And that can be a coping mechanism. So what we're here to do today is just bring awareness. So awareness of the things you do to avoid actually facing the problems and the fears in your everyday life. And that's important because when you're willing to bring awareness and notice yourself and how you're reacting and how you're coping, that is the first step to making peace with that discomfort, actually facing reality. It's like that Buddha nature or that meditative state of just being fully present, seeing what's there, and allowing it to be there without adding pain, fear, anger, etc. So, hi Peter. Hi everyone watching. Thank you for watching, by the way. So there's two ways we tend to go once we're willing to look at something. One is called ruminating, and one is called reflection. So ruminating, we all know that one. It's that endless loop that we can't get out of. We're the hamster on the wheel, rehashing the memory, the situation, the conversation, and we get caught up in our emotions about it, but we don't really find any resolution there. So that means we need to do some reflection instead, and that's really hard for a lot of us to do, to actually dig in there and find out what it is. So tips for reflection. When you're triggered, accept whatever feeling comes up. The last thing you need to do is bury it, ignore it, dismiss it. That feeling is there to tell you that a personal boundary has been compromised or crossed, and you need to identify that boundary. You may not be able to do anything about it at that moment, or the situation may have come and gone, but for future reference, you need to be able to acknowledge how you actually feel and respect that feeling and sit with that feeling. That's where you begin to make peace with yourself. The next step is to really answer those questions of what happened that triggered me? What was the trigger? Identify the actual trigger. Was it a phrase that was said? Was it your own personal story that you made up in your head about what happened that may not be true at all? Could it be that you didn't speak up when you should have? Did you compromise your well-being or your time or your energy and now you regret it? So you need to identify what the trigger was. The person who triggered you has no idea what caused it. You may think they do, and a lot of us are great at We're great at the whole, well, if you don't know what you did, then I'm not going to tell you, right? That doesn't get anybody anywhere. The person who triggered you really doesn't know. And you can explore what happened. I would always recommend writing it down or just finding that quiet time, especially late at night when you're all alone and you're reaching for the phone to distract yourself from your thoughts. That's a great time to set the phone down and do some reflection. What triggered you? What was compromised? What line was crossed? Identify it. And then what can you do about it? And there is something you can do about it. When you're in the thick of the emotions, it can be hard to find that, but it may be having that heart-to-heart conversation with whoever triggered you. It may need to be simply noticing that this person may not be the best for you and stepping away from them. And then when you're in that rumination loop and you're just stuck, ask for support and guidance. There are people in your life who love you and care about you and champion you. And there are people like me who can do coaching and help you figure out where you're stuck, the words you're using that are keeping you stuck, the thoughts, the beliefs that are keeping you stuck. Ask someone who is wise and willing to truly listen without agenda to help you figure out what you might be doing and where you're stuck, and they can help you with the solution. I'm great at that, so if you ever need anything like that, hit me up. Just send me a message. And don't feel bad for getting triggered. We're always going to have those days. So for those of you who are trying to be quote unquote perfect, no one is, and perfect changes every single day if you really think about it. The list in our heads changes for what we expect of ourselves and of others, and a lot of those triggers come from unspoken or unrealized expectations on either side, and that's when you have those heart-to-heart conversations or ask someone that you trust to help you out. And notice your triggers and your reactions and your coping mechanisms. You may not even realize which coping mechanisms or knee-jerk reactions you have, but I guarantee you the people in your life closest to you know. Your significant other knows, your child or parent knows, your closest friends know. So definitely when you're ready and have been triggered, go to that person, say, hey, I was really triggered by this situation. I keep ruminating on it. I'm stuck in this loop. Can you help me out? Do I need to have a talk with this person? Or do I need to step back and evaluate whether I need this person in my life? Or even if I need to leave them alone for a while and come back. Those are all great ways to make peace with discomfort. And also the hardest thing is just sitting there, recognizing that you were triggered and identifying the emotion behind it, figuring out the boundary, and then making the changes necessary. And it can be hard to make changes, especially if that person's really close to you and you're not sure what to do next or how to approach them. That's where you seek support or someone like me, a coach, who can help you get through all those things. So let me know if there are any other topics out there that interest you. I'd love to do more talks like this. And, I'll be holding workshops in the near future, so you can look at sanantonioworkshops.com if you're in the San Antonio, Texas area. And if you'd like private one-on-one coaching, again, just hit me up. And you all have an amazing week, and thank you for all the feedback. Let me know if any of this resonated with you and any topics you would like to see in the future. Have a great week. Happy Monday. Thanks.